Hey there, welcome back to Addison Politics. I'm your host, Addison Voss. I haven't made any videos since Biden's abysmal performance at the debate because, to be honest, I've been too emotional to really talk about it. You already know I believe Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. I believe he will try to be a dictator if he gets back into the White House. I believe Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot, and his administration will be actively hostile towards women, LGBTQ plus people, and people of color. We already saw all of this during his first presidency. I believe Donald Trump is a risk to our national security and that he would threaten our safety and our alliances around the world. Heaven forbid if he gets a Republican House and Senate, I believe they would remove the filibuster and he would sign a national abortion ban. There's the Project 2025 stuff. I could go on, but needless to say, I am genuinely fearful of what it would be like to live in this country if Donald Trump gets elected in November. Now, I am also a big fan of Joe Biden. I recently did a video where I outlined all of the reasons why I support him. I believe he has been the most progressive president in history. I believe he saved our country by beating Donald Trump in 2020. He has turned our economy around, he navigated us through the end of the pandemic, and he has diversified the federal government in a truly historic way. We have more people of color and women in his cabinet and on the federal judiciary than ever in history. He's been fighting for working class people, he's passed gun legislation, he's protected gay marriage, and he's fighting for student debt relief. I believe Joe Biden is a good, decent human being who cares deeply for this country. Now, with all of that being said, he royally failed at that debate with Donald Trump. It was painful to watch. I still have not even watched the entire thing all the way through, to be 100% honest with you. It was just too much. What made it so painful for me is that Donald Trump lied non-stop through that debate so blatantly. While Biden, everything he said was spot on, was accurate, and was the truth, but it was not articulate, and it made him look weak and like he doesn't know what he's doing. It made Trump look like he has it together. Trump lied about January 6th, he lied about abortion rights, he lied about immigrants, he lied about the economy, he lied about a whole lot of things. Just go and Google it if you don't believe me. Unfortunately, the harsh reality is that Biden was not able to effectively call him out for his lies or paint the picture that he needed to paint, which is that he's fighting for you while Trump is worried about keeping himself out of prison, trying to be a dictator, and controlling women's bodies. That was Biden's job, and he failed at that, and that really worries me. Just to be clear, I'm not calling for Biden to drop out of the race. I actually think that's a horrible idea, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. I also want to be clear that I stand behind what I said in my video supporting Biden. I'm not worried about his cognition. Would I prefer for our president to not be 86 years old at the end of his second term? Yes, of course I would. I'd much rather have someone perhaps in their 50s or 60s, but I'm not worried that he's not up for the job. He's doing the job now, he's doing a great job at it, and he's also surrounded by some of the best and brightest people we have. I have no doubt that if something were to happen to him, Kamala Harris would make a great president. I'm not worried about the way Joe Biden and the people around him would run the executive branch in a second term. I'm just not, even with what I saw at the debate. But I am very worried about Biden's ability to make the case to the American people about why he is the best person for the job and why Trump would be an absolute disaster for this country. And that is a presidential candidate's job. They have to get out and campaign and make the case. And it can't always be in a highly controlled setting with a teleprompter. That strategy doesn't work anymore in the modern age of social media. He has to be able to get out and do interviews, get on TV, meet with constituents, and scream from the rooftops why Donald Trump is so dangerous for the country. And I don't know if he can do it. And that has me in an emotional panic, just to be so honest and transparent with you. I genuinely don't know if he can pull this campaign off. So with all of that out of the way, and if you're still watching, thank you for letting me get my feelings out, I still don't think he should drop out. I think it's a bad idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not convinced there's a realistic path to a different Democratic nominee at the convention. Some of the discussion has been around whether we could have some type of open convention where there would be a process in which Biden would surrender the delegates he's already acquired, and then any new candidates would have to fight over the delegates, and it would play out at the convention. I don't fully understand it, to be honest with you. I've been reading about it, and it's pretty confusing. It hasn't been done this way in a very long time. I think this is a recipe for disaster. We don't know how it would play out. It could result in a lot of fighting within the Democratic Party at a time when we really should be unified. It could potentially generate a lot of bad press that could then be used against Democrats in campaign ads, and it could be sliced and diced for social media clips. Sure, there's a chance it could go really well and we could emerge with a strong candidate. That's a possibility. But I wouldn't say we have the evidence to know if that's the likely outcome or not. Keep in mind also that anybody who would be interested in running would basically have to set up a campaign on like a moment's notice, which might not even be possible for some viable candidates who maybe would want to run. The other problem I have with this open convention plan is we could go through this whole process and there's no guarantee we're going to emerge with a candidate that's has any better chance of beating Donald Trump. That's not a guarantee. So we could, in theory, go through this very painful and embarrassing process and not even have resolved our issue of getting a more electable candidate. So an open convention, in my opinion, has too many unknowns, it's too risky, and I think it is crazy that some people are advocating for this. The other option I've seen floated around in the political punditry online world is whether we could make Kamala Harris the nominee instead. I have 3 pretty big problems with this plan. Number 1, we don't have the data to know if she is any more electable than President Biden. I love Kamala Harris. I think she is exceptional. She is smart. Her career speaks for itself. She's articulate. She is sharp, and she is savage when you listen to her speak. She is someone who can make the case against Donald Trump. I have no worries about that with her. But we don't know how independent voters and undecided voters will take to her. There's no guarantee that it will be any easier for her than Biden on a national stage, and I don't think there's any definitive polling right now that shows that. I also hate to even say this, but she's a black woman, so she has that hill to climb. I wish that wasn't the case, but it's just the truth. We live in an inherently racist and sexist society, and just like Hillary Clinton had her issues in her campaign because she was a woman, Kamala would have the same problems, only amplified because she's black. The second issue I have with this Kamala Harris plan is that it's very vulnerable to Republican attacks. They're going to say, first they tried to shove Joe Biden down your throat, now they're just giving you Kamala Harris. The Democrats don't have their stuff together and the elites are trying to rig the system, blah, 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 blah. So that's a big problem. The third issue I have with this plan is that it's not clear if there's even a legal way to do this. My understanding from everything I've read is that if Joe Biden surrenders his delegates, they're up for grabs. There's no way for him to just automatically transfer them to her, unless perhaps he did it after the convention, but then that's a whole different hot mess. So for all of these reasons, I think we have to move forward with the Joe Biden plan. I don't see any other choice. I still very much believe in Joe Biden and that he and his team can find a way to make this campaign work and paint the contrast between him and Donald Trump. But I think it's going to take each and every one of us to do our part, to donate money, to volunteer, to talk to your friends and family about how dangerous Donald Trump is. But as scared and concerned as I am, I still think Joe Biden can pull this off, and I don't think we have another choice. I honestly feel so much better getting that off of my chest, so thank you for listening. I also want to be clear, I don't necessarily think I'm right. I have a lot of mixed feelings about all of this, so let me know what you think in the comments because I could really use your help wrapping my mind around all of this. All I know is that Donald Trump cannot become the next president. It would be a disaster for this country. Thank you so much for watching and for hearing me out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.